Hey there, sister. Welcome to Girl Out of Order, a come along with me podcast for women committed to fully embracing their most authentic selves. I'm your girl, Christine, and I am passionate about helping women recover or for the first time ever discover their true identities and design lives they really freaking love. At Girl Out of Order, we'll help you cultivate bravery. We'll inspire you to live boldly, and together, we'll build bridges among all women. This tribe of girls out of order will truly change the world. So come on in and let's get started. A Girl Out of Order podcast. This recording's a little bit unusual because I'm recording it in the car as I'm on my way to get my annual mammogram. Yes, it's time to squeeze the tatas, sister. And so I have to just record my podcast whenever inspiration strikes. And so you get me on the way to get my mammogram. And I know the recording might sound a little bit different, but I would ask that you just hang in there with me because today's podcast is going to be truly beautiful because I had a life lesson this week that I am excited to share with you because, again, you know, if you've been with me for even more than 5 minutes, that Girl Out of Order is a come along with me podcast. So you get to listen and learn as I listen, learn, and live my life. So buckle up, sisters, because today is going to be a blessing to both you and to me. Okay, let's dive in. As you know, we are in a 3-part series called Designing Your Destiny based upon my transformative experience at Tony Robbins' 6-day odyssey called Date with Destiny. And I am so excited to share with you a topic this morning that I was not actually intending to talk about because at the end of the podcast last week, I'd indicated I was going to talk a little bit about not a little bit. I was going to talk. Do I ever talk a little bit? Let's be honest. But I was going to talk about your primary question, which is a big part of Date with Destiny. And I had an experience this week that has shifted what I want to focus on. And yet, the primary question that I designed at Date with Destiny has come in and shown up big time. So this week, we're going to talk about what do you do when you experience a no? What do you do when rejection shows up in your life? How does the beautifully designed you show up? How did she appear on the set of Rejection? So, what happened this week? All right. A few weeks ago, I was so excited because my friend Damilare, who is one of the most joyful and ebullient and interesting people, frankly, I've ever met, he had reached out to me and said, you gotta apply to do this TEDx talk. They're only considering Chicagoland area women, and it sounds perfect for you. And he was so kind, and he said, I know you want to speak, and I think you belong on stage. So I was like, all right, let's go. And I can't tell you the untold hours I spent agonizing over this application. Let me just say this. Applying to a TEDx talk is no joke. And I spent hours on this application and I manifested it happening. And I was like, it's going to happen. This is going to be my chance. I'm going to be on that stage. And I felt very aligned with the message and the timing. And then this week I got the no. I got the no. And it wasn't like, oh, you're terrible at this, but it was just, we had a lot of great applications. And even though your application was compelling, yada, 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 it honestly doesn't even matter what the language was. The fact is, I experienced rejection for something I not only really wanted, I felt really called to. I felt like this is the time. This next step makes sense. I felt so actually felt great about my application. My video, we all as women, I would say most of us as women, we agonize over putting those videos out and marketing ourselves or putting ourselves forward, but I genuinely felt really good about this application. And so when the no came, I saw the email. Let me back up. I saw the email pop up on my screen, and I instantly had like these uncomfortable, like tribe, battalion of butterflies in my stomach. My throat felt tight. And I thought to myself, I think it's a no. What am I going to do? I didn't realize, here's the thing, I didn't realize how much I wanted it until that moment when the email popped up. And when I read that it was a no, I felt like somebody had punched me in the stomach. And I had tears that sprang to my eyes. And here's where the good news is. I made a decision in that moment that I would allow myself a somewhat defined time period to feel sad, to feel a real human, authentic reaction to rejection. But that I refused to stay in that place of feeling rejected. Let me say that again. I allowed myself to feel an authentic human emotion and reaction to rejection, but I refused to remain feeling rejected. And so this is where the Date with Destiny magic shows up. This is where what I learned during that 6-day conference came to my rescue. I don't know if any of you are Lord of the Rings fans, but I'm a complete Lord of the Rings geek. So ride the wave with me if you're not, but if you are, you're probably grinning and waiting to hear which scene I'm going to talk about. So in the third installment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they're having this epic battle, and the good guys are taking some massive hits. They're pretty tough. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to talk about a different one. This is my podcast, so I can pivot whenever the hell I want. It's actually in the second one. Oh, and it's the Battle of Helm's Deep. Okay, that's the one. All right, stick with me here, sisters, because there's a visual that I'm going to paint for you if you've never seen the movies. So they're battling for Helm's Deep. All of the bad, disgusting ogres, they call them orcs, are slaughtering the good guys. They're killing the elves. And if you know anything about Lord of the Rings, like nobody kills the damn elves. Like it's not looking so good. Like it's really, really not looking so good. But they're fighting as hard as they can. They're not giving up. But at some point they do say, retreat. And they retreat to the inner sanctum of Helm's Deep because at this point it's clear that they're losing. And then over the hill comes Gandalf, the white wizard, with his beautiful, blinding white light and the power and the backup of all the people he brought with him comes over the hill, and they just obliterate the orcs. And it's the reason I'm spending any amount of time talking to you about this is because it was in that moment where the good guys yelled retreat that the white light showed up. And what I'm saying to you is, in that moment when I was experiencing rejection, my white light showed up. And that white light was the new primary question that I had just designed and was still actually trying on for size. I was still dancing with it and playing around with it and doing incantations with it. But it was already inside me, sisters. And so in Date with Destiny, and again, I'm going to do another big plug for Date with Destiny. If you've never been, please put it on your bucket list, because this immersive event will truly transform the way that you look at life, relationships, love, yourself, your mission, your destiny, your possibilities. And it really helps you identify on a cellular level what in the hell is holding you back and keeping you playing small. And so this primary question, what we do is we identify what is the question that you either ask consciously or more often than not unconsciously that defines how you show up in your life, in situations, in relationships, in your finances, in your business. So I'm going to tell you what my old primary question was that I wasn't even conscious of. I wasn't even paying that much attention. But once I realized it, once I wrote it down and I could identify it, it took my breath away because it was like all of a sudden, so much of my anxiety and worry and insecurities made freaking sense. Because when I was doing it, showing up for my life with these goggles on that were looking for something, frankly, idiot. So the old primary question, when you realize the way that you've been showing up is in large part how you or what you ask, it really makes you aware that changes need to be made. The key, sisters, is awareness. When you become aware of the question that is fueling these insecurities, you become empowered to change the question. And that's exactly what I had just done. I had just rewired my primary question. And so when I was faced with this rejection, I got to decide what I was going to ask about the situation. So what was my old primary question? My old primary question was, and this is just icky, it even tastes bad when I say it. It was, how can I have, do, and be enough? Think about somebody who shows up to life asking, how can I have, do, and be enough? How is she going to show up in her life? How is she going to feel? How is she going to stand? How is she going to breathe? How is she going to ask what something means to her? It's not likely going to be a very empowering existence, right? A woman that shows up to life, scanning the horizon to figure out how she can have enough to be safe, to be secure, to be okay, is going to live with a scarcity mindset. She's not going to take chances and build her dreams and put herself out there in relationships and love freely. She's going to play small and be on the lookout for all the perceived dangers that are lurking. A woman that asks every day, how can I do enough, is going to be so freaking exhausted. And that was me. A woman who asks, how can I be enough, will never feel enough. And so you can see how that old primary question, if that's the question I was asking when I got that no to the TEDx talk that I applied to, could be debilitating. It would kneecap me, take me down, make me succumb to the noise of the shitty committee in my head telling me, you suck. See, I told you so. You'll never be enough. You will absolutely never have enough. And sister, don't even think about it. You can never do enough to be accepted, to be valued, to be worthy. What the hell kind of primary question is that? That was my real live for sure's primary question. And thank God I just finished Date with Destiny because I rewired that shit, ladies. I fixed it. I am now showing up with a completely different, beautiful, empowering primary question. And it was my Gandalf that came over those hills with that brilliant white light that has helped me reframe what rejection means when it's something I wanted so badly. So what is my new primary question, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. Let me share it with you, and then I'm going to give you a challenge as we wrap up today. My new gorgeous, empowering question is, how can I more fully appreciate and enjoy God's abundance in every area of my gorgeous life? All right, I added gorgeous. How can I more fully appreciate and enjoy God's abundance in every area of my life? That primary question showed up on the scene of my rejection, and it totally changed the meaning that I gave it. Because what it told me is that God's abundance is already present in every area of my life, in my business, in my finances, in my capabilities, in my mission, in my relationships. Abundance is mine. It's already there. It already exists, and it comes from my beautiful Creator who knows I am enough. I don't have to do anything or be anything to be loved, accepted, called, equipped, and divinely freaking guided, sisters. And so I had my authentic human reaction. I cried a few tears. I felt a little bit sad because to do otherwise, and trust me, if people are telling you, oh, just decide in that moment to live in a beautiful state, that sounds amazing. And you absolutely should choose to live in a beautiful state. Give yourself space to have an authentic human emotion and make the choice to not stay there. Bring your beautiful, empowering, gorgeous primary question to the scene of any no that you get. Because when I did that, you know what happened, sisters? This is where it gets so beautiful. I asked the question, what's next? What does this mean for me? What is the gift in this? Thank you, God, that I didn't get this TEDx talk, because now I can go on this amazing trip with my TLC Mastermind sisters, because the deadlines for it, frankly, would have impeded that beautiful experience I now get to have. What did I learn from this? Holy smokes, I learned that I can fill out an incredibly intense and challenging application. Here's the thing that I also learned is I know now more than ever, because of my physical response to this, in part, that I am born to be a speaker. This is my calling. I know this is my destiny. I am manifesting that in 2025, I will be on stage. I will be speaking, and I'm going to say it boldly now. It will be at some TEDx talk because I've applied for another one. I haven't heard back from that. And here's the thing. If that one doesn't work, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to thank God for his abundance in every area of my life. I'm going to thank God for what I learned in it. I'm going to thank God for my relationship now that I have with Damilari on a different level, because he and I are moving together as friends towards speaking. And now I have a supportive friend who is pushing me. In fact, he just texted me this morning and says, okay, so what's next, sister? He's not going to let me sit down and just accept rejection. No, he's going to say, what's next? What are you going to do about it? Because it doesn't mean that I have to do enough, but it does mean that I've gotten a beautiful message from God. Yes, I am abundant. I've given you everything that you need. And even if it's a no right now, it's now a yes for you. So let's get up, dust ourselves off, and get back in the fight for our mission, our destiny, our calling, what we believe is right for us. That, may I say we and our, because I'm talking to you, sisters. So as we wrap up, I'm going to ask you, is there a rejection that you've experienced recently and you haven't defined it in an empowering way? I'm going to challenge you, because you actually don't have power over your circumstances. but you do have power over deciding what those circumstances mean. And so, what are the questions that you're asking about that rejection? Are you asking bad questions? If you ask crappy questions, sisters, you get crappy answers. So I would ask you and challenging you, is there a question that you ask frequently, either verbally or sit down, close your eyes, put your hands on your heart and breathe in and ask for divine guidance on what kind of question you bring to your life? My other old primary question from Date with Destiny a couple years ago was, why am I never enough and yet always too much to be loved? There's so many disempowering primary questions that people ask and they don't even know it's happening, but it's controlling how they respond to life. So figure out if there is a crappy question that you're showing up with. And then here's the challenge for you. Write a new one. Write that new primary question that is going to give you life, that is going to assume that beauty and grace and abundance already exist. Use words like more fully, more appreciate. Use the word more, because when you write a question that uses the word more, it wires into you that it already exists, that you already are aware, that you are already appreciating it, that you are already enjoying it. You just want more. Write a question that's juicy and alive and full of vibrancy and hope and gets you excited. So what is that for you? Is it how can I more fully experience connection with human beings and serve at my highest level today? I don't know what it is for you. You know what your circumstances are. You know what you need to shift, alter, improve, and expand. I'm so excited to hear from you and what primary question you are creating. And if you've experienced rejection lately, let me know that too, because I want to know how bringing better questions to that rejection experience has changed it for you. Because nobody can take away our agency when it comes to defining what life means for us. Date with Destiny has given me so many tools. The primary question tool shows up every single freaking day in my life. And the more I decide to be conscious and aware and intentional with how I interact with life circumstances, the better and more fulfilling and more impactful my life's going to be. And the same goes for you. I'm so proud of you for tuning in and writing that new primary question. I know you're going to do it. So I'm just assuming it. I'm speaking it. I'm manifesting it. It is done. So get after it this week. And I can't wait to show up next week with you for our final installment of the Designing Your Destiny series. But before we wrap up, I am so excited because on February 4th, I am launching the Who Are You Really Mastermind. It is a 7-week course where we go on a journey through the 5 phases of identity creation. I was going to launch this twice in 2024, but due to my health issues with my hysterectomy, I wasn't able to get it done. And I am so grateful because I am in a much better, more grounded, aligned place to launch this mastermind. And I want you part of it. So keep an eye out for my social medias. And if you haven't subscribed to our emails that come out every Monday, make sure you do that. Hop on my website, thechristinegale.com, for all the information. And I will be sending it out and including a link in the show notes as well. And one last thing, please, please, please rate and review our podcast so we can grow our Girl Out of Order community. We're already growing, but we want to expand our influence around the globe. I'm so excited because just this last week, we got our first download in Belize. And the week before, we got our first download in Ireland. And it's just so fun to see people from Cambodia and Germany and right here around me. But I just want this podcast and community to expand so that we can build that tribe of girls out of order that are changing this world one woman at a time. Have an incredible holiday season, whatever you celebrate, and keep being a girl out of order. I'll see you next week.